Welcome back to Big Board. We're having a look at GD'40. It's the TCS system from MMP. And I thought it might be fun because it's been probably a handful of years since I've done a video on how assault combat works. Rule 22, page 26 of version 4.01 of the TCS rules, no less. Anyway, that's just for all the folks that get a little bent out of shape when I don't explain exactly what the hell I'm doing. So let's go through this little close assault and check it out. We were looking at this hex here. These units were here, or actually they were back there, but regardless, they moved into the hex where the blue unit is residing. And the reason why they can move into that hex is because the unit is suppressed. When the unit's suppressed and there's a assault combat happening, these guys, these guys don't get fired upon. There's this concept of final overwatch fire or final opportunity fire, as I like to call it. So that as you're advancing, you can do overwatch fire, and then when you go to move into the hex, you get the shot at the enemy. Well, if you suppress the dude first, of course, he can't shoot at you. But the moment you move into this hex, that goes away. And so now all these fellas are marching in to engage this weak little platoon here with one step loss already. So we're going to turn these guys over so we can see their combat factors, but they're still in essence, they're moving to contact, okay? And this combat, I believe, let me just check for 1 second. Yep, so we're going to both fire simultaneously because during the exercise of engaging, these guys were not suppressed in their efforts to attack. And we have to take this off in the prior step. So both sides are not suppressed. And therefore, we will fire simultaneously. And the way this works, and whether I'm doing it right or not, don't really matter, because at the end of the day, what you want is the most massive amount of firepower to get this combat over and done with, so that you do not go through 15 rounds of firing at each other to ill or no effect. Let's do the French first, because that'll be easiest. So the French have 3 combat factors, and they are at a range of 0. So they're going to get +4 column shifts, and they have 4 steps. Each unit has 5 steps. We just know that. That's every platoon has 5 steps unless otherwise noted. And so we're going to look at we're going to add 4 to the combat strength. So that's going to make it 7 with 4 shifts, right? I'm going to put a little die down here and we'll try and keep track of stuff. So they're going to get 4 shifts so far. And the enemy that is attacking them has 5, 7, 9. So there's a +1, right? So we're going to get another column shift. So that's going to make it 5 column shifts. Okay? So, actually, 3 + 4 is 7. I need to make a note of that. So that's going to be 7. And now we've got 5 column shifts. Okay, there's a little 7 there. And what else? We are going to ignore terrain, because when you're engaging like this, it's considered that, everyone's kind of getting into this sort of melee mode. And so terrain really is not going to factor in. And we're going to ignore night and illumination and all the rest of it. The only thing that we would continue to consider would be suppression or being paralyzed. Similarly, we would not factor in smoke or stuff like that. That's what I believe. That's the way it works. Okay, and I do it that way anyway because I don't want to go through 4 rounds of this. Let's just get it over in 2 rounds or 3 rounds versus 3, 4, or 5 rounds. So These dudes have a total combat value, I said, of 3 plus 4 is 7. So we're going to go to the 7 column, and this is a little custom chart that someone built when they were doing a revision of the rules, and it's got a few modifications and amplifications on it, but no changes to the core rule set. So it's Art Brochet's tables. So we're looking for the 7 column, which is here. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 for the being in the hex. And I said one more for another reason. What was the other reason? That's right, the number of stacks. So I said 7, 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1. Number of steps, not stacks. Okay, so we're going to roll dice, and we're going to be rolling on a 21 and 25 table. It's pretty brutal. Something's going to happen, I can tell you with that. Okay, so and I roll a 55. So that is going to be freaking awesome for these guys. Did I say 21 to 25? 55, 2-step losses. Right. So we inflict 2-step losses on the Germans. Let's just put that there for the moment. Now, because this is simultaneous, now we're going to do the other side. And we got 5, 7, 9. Ooh, do we count the MGs because we're in movement? Oh, you know what? We get another shift. Hang on. We get another shift because the enemy is advancing into the hex, and they have not yet flipped to move mode, fire mode, but it's in partially protective, so there's no modifier for that. So there will be no column shift. So that was all accurate, relatively speaking. So now let's see, we got 5, 7, 9. We're going to assume the MGs can fire. I believe that is the case. So I said 9 on the combat. So let me just grab a 5 and a 4. So 9 factors. And I'm going to add 5 to that. So that's going to make that 14, which means I need a bigger die. Somehow, let me just do this. There we go. There's 10, 4, 14 combat factors, all right? So we're starting on the 14 table right here. Now we're going to roll 2 dice, and we're going to get +4 column shifts for area range modifiers, area fire range modifiers right here. See, +4. And the enemy we're shooting at has 4 steps in it. Well, that's actually going to push us down 1, -1. So that will be only applies to mortar and arty fire or SFAs when all units. Okay, so this is not an SFA. So there's not a -1, so it's +4. We're not doing any of the other terrain mods or any fun stuff like that. The dudes are in fire mode, but it's my understanding that we ignore those. And if I'm wrong, okay, we're wrong. But as I said, we want to keep the ratios up. Oh my gosh, the ratio is up high so that we do some damage. Okay, I roll a 62, so this could be the end of this unit. All right, I said we had 14 factors, and we're moving it up 4 columns because of the area range. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're resolving on the 33 to 40 column. Let me show you that. It's here. And I roll a 62. Yep, 4 steps. See that? 4 steps. So if there was a unit left, if there was a step left, let's say there was 1 step left, we would have to do a morale check, and we'd roll the dice. These dice roll high. I'm going to keep these guys, and I would have to look at 62 on the morale, and it'd be 5 plus the whatever steps I lost, plus the morale, and any column shifts. And I'd look here and I'd go 62, and let's just say it was a 5 plus 1. 62 would be paralyzed. But if I moved it further up the food chain here, you can see that we could end up with 62. we could end up with, on the 10 column, we could end up with surrender. Whoops, there you go. Sorry about that. There you go. See the surrender, paralyzed, SYR, suppressed, and no effect. SYR means save yourselves. That's a retreat, basically. So, four steps of massacre, 2 steps of loss here. These losses are allocated. We put 1 on here, and then we have to pick another one, and we'll just put 1 on this guy. And we'll put these boys all back in their stack. Now these fellows are also going to have to do a morale check. They're rolling on the 3 column. We'll just use these. We can use, do we use the best or the worst? You know, I think it's the worst morale. So the worst morale is going to be this guy, because he's a 3 plus 1 is 4. So he's going to be in the 4 column, and they have no other morale losses, so we're going to roll the dice. Did I roll the dice already? I had to pause the camera for a second there, and I don't know if I did. I'm going to roll the dice anyway. That's really not a good roll. I rolled a 54 on the 4. Yeah, suppressed. Okay, so these dudes are going to be successful, but they're going to be suppressed. So they're going to move into the hex and be suppressed. They clear that hex out, which is critical. It's on the as they say, the critical path. We're going to pop this little dude back to where he belongs. This guy goes to here. See, there he is. We're doing the assault right there, and I'm going to pop this fella here over on his appropriate company from the 1st Battalion of the 67th Regiment. And he is in the 1-3, so he's going to go here. All right. And that, my friends, is a close assault. Kev style, at the very least. All right, thanks for tuning in. Bye.